Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com. And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Today on Oklahoma Gardening, host Casey Hentges digs in to see what's going on inside our hügelkultur. We point out some plants that are poisonous to our furry family members. And we meet some students from several Oklahoma colleges who participated in an undergraduate research and extension experience at OSU Stillwater.
2 years ago, we built a hügelkultur, or in German, that means mound garden or hill garden. And as you can see, it has significantly shrunk, and that's because what we did was we dug a bit of a trench, and then we buried a lot of carbon material, such as tree trunks, in here. Over the past 2 years, as the water has filtered down into our hügelkultur, that has aided in the decay of our carbon material, allowing it to shrink down. Now you can see this season the weeds got the best of our garden, but at this point we're going to take advantage of that and go ahead and see what's going on underneath our soil. Now we have a bit of a clue here. You can see there's mushrooms growing in our hügelkultur, and that indicates that there is the decay happening and the carbon material starting to break down. We want to see if we can find any tree trunks that might still be remaining or what's exactly going on. So now for the fun part. So you can see we've cut into just about a third of our hügelkultur here. And again, the height has significantly decreased. We're about half the height that it was originally. We still are finding some logs in here, but they are not at all to the degree that they were when we first put them in here. You can see there's some white growth on there, and that's all bacteria that's starting to break down our logs and stuff. They pretty much flake apart. I mean, just look at how soft this wood is at this point. And that's all going to add organic matter into our soil here. Now right now, these are really soggy actually because of that moisture retaining ability. And so you can see also there's some roots in here. All the different plants that have grown in here have created roots establishing pores that help allow that infiltration of the water and the bacteria to go ahead and start the decomposition process. So what was a log is now just breaking apart and turning into organic matter into our soil. Now that we've buried more organic matter, we're going to let that decompose slowly over the winter months. We always have to worry when we add more organic matter that the carbon's going to tie up the nitrogen. And so we're going to add crimson clover seed as a winter cover crop. And we know clover is a legume that fixes its own nitrogen, so it won't be as deficient and be able to grow better here. It also will serve as kind of a green material that next spring we'll be able to incorporate in that hügelkultur and have a nice bed to plant on. Now, hügelkultur is basically a slow form of composting. It's a way of adding organic matter and cleaning up the garden during this time of year to get rid of those unsightly landscape debris that you might have and incorporate it into your soil so that you're improving your garden as you grow. This time of year, we start bringing in plants into our homes. Perhaps we buy poinsettias, or we might be getting fall bulbs delivered that we intend to plant, but just haven't gotten out in the garden to do it just yet. As we bring these plants into our home around our pets, we might be concerned about their safety if they start nibbling on some of those leaves. Last season, we shot a segment about poisonous plants around your pets. And unfortunately, though, we ran out of time and were unable to air it. So without further ado, here's a few tips on protecting your pets around those plants. Pets are like family these days, and we want to make sure that we're providing them with a safe environment. Often where they play is in our garden, and just like there's poisonous plants for people, there's also poisonous plants for our furry friends. The cycad, or sago palm, is one of those plants. While it has spiky, tropical-like foliage, and we often use it for that, especially on patios and around pools, it's one that dogs like to chew on sometimes, perhaps because of that leathery feel to it. But this is one you want to make sure to keep out of the reach because it can cause liver failure. All parts of this plant are potent and poisonous, so make sure to put it in a container out of the reach of your dogs. Castor bean is another plant that we love to add into our garden to give us that tropical look with its bold green and maroon foliage. It's one that we definitely want to keep out of the reach of our pets as it's very poisonous, and it's poisonous to people as well, especially those beans that it produces. The Liliaceae family is one of the largest plant families, including our daylilies, our Asiatic lilies, and also our oriental lilies. Now, it also includes the hyacinth and the tulips. Almost all of them, with the exception of lily of the Nile, are poisonous to our pets. They can cause kidney failure in our feline friends, and in our dogs, they don't cause kidney damage, but they will cause a mess as the pet tries to expel that poison. The last thing that I want to mention that you might find in your landscape isn't a plant, but in fact it is the cocoa mulch. We all know that dogs are allergic to chocolate, but even in this form, the dog might be tempted to get into that mulch. And if eaten, it can be toxic to your animal still. Now, of course, this is not an exhaustive or an extensive list, and a lot of times when your pet eats something, it depends on many factors, both your pet and the plant. The first thing you always want to do is consult your veterinarian. Now, because I love plants and I love pets, we went to the OSU School of Veterinary Medicine to find out more. We are here at the Oklahoma State University Center for Veterinary Health Sciences, and joining me is Dr. Sypniewski, who is a veterinarian here, and we wanted to talk a little bit about poisonous plants for our pets. So what are some scenarios that you often see that come into your clinic?
Well, certainly young, curious puppies love to eat things that they're not supposed to. They're kind of like toddlers, so they will definitely get into things that the average dog wouldn't eat. So certainly they love to get into plants that are around the yard just because it's fun to get in to them. The other thing is certainly those inquisitive older dogs that owners plant something new and they decide that that's just the right day to eat something they're not supposed to.
So a lot of it's based off of personality of the dog?
I think so. I mean, on any given day, any dog can eat anything. But I think that the younger and more orally fixated dogs will eat plants, and then also the really, really curious adults.
And cats too. I mean, we don't want to exclude
cats.
Yeah,
we don't want to exclude cats. That would definitely put them all against us.
Yeah, so bulbs are obviously one of the big toxic things that we often see. You know, do you see that quite often come through here? Or?
Unfortunately, yes, because all bulbs are toxic. There's not a single bulb that isn't toxic to a dog or a cat, which a cat probably wouldn't eat one. But owners leave them laying around because they don't think that they're toxic, and dogs will just come and swallow them right up. And then oftentimes the owners don't know that they're missing, which is a problem because if they have a lot of bulbs in the area, they don't think about it, or the dogs can dig them up. And in that case, the owner usually knows what's been dug up.
Yeah, and you mentioned sometimes we buy them as gardeners and leave them thinking we'll get around to planting them, and I'm guilty of that too.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of bulbs in my yard as well that are just laying on the ground.
Yeah. So what can we do to kind of reduce our pets being bored?
Well, I certainly think that enrichment activities for pets is important. You know, certainly walking them and playing with, you know, toys and basically getting out their energy is important. I think that boredom still can exist though, and certainly they like to sniff and wander around the yard, and so oftentimes just making sure that the owners are spending time monitoring their dogs when they're outside and observing them when they're in their garden.
You kind of mentioned they're like toddlers, right? You got to keep a close eye on them sometimes.
Absolutely. They're probably worse than toddlers because they stay that way for most of their life.
Okay, well, and so what about with some of our vegetables? You know, I know we have a lot of nightshades that are vegetables, peppers, tomatoes, things like that.
Right.
They're pretty toxic as well.
They absolutely are. And one thing that's important for most gardeners is just trying to find a way to identify the plants in their garden that are fatal, as in the yew or nightshade, and making sure that those plants are something that they try to avoid having in an area where an animal can get to them, and really be knowledgeable of the other side of plants, and maybe those that just cause maybe minor GI or gastrointestinal upset or minor irritation to the oral cavity. So I definitely think that the more gardeners spend time in learning what's in their garden, the better off they're going to be in general.
Okay, and what should we do if a homeowner, you know, suspects that maybe their pet has gotten into something that shouldn't have or eaten something that it shouldn't have? Bring it straight to the vet, and what sort of information should they bring with them?
Well, I certainly think that the quicker the identification of the plant, the better off both the veterinarian, the owner, and the pet are. So if you can bring in the plant that they've eaten, part of it, or if you can get a picture of that plant, it certainly will help improve identification, so it'll help improve us deciding what the best treatment is. The sooner we know, the easier treatment is.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you for helping us keep our pets safe.
Absolutely, you're very welcome.
Today joining us is Dr. Charles Fontanier, who is an assistant professor in the Horticulture and Landscape Architecture Department. And Dr. Fontanier started a new internship program for undergraduates this past summer. Could you tell us a little bit about that program?
Sure thing, Casey. The program is called the Urban Horticulture Research and Extension Experience for Undergraduates. And what I really want to highlight is the word experience in that. It's part of a USDA funded project that allows us to bring in undergraduate students and teach them about research and teach them about extension, all under the umbrella of horticulture in our department. Yep.
You had about 10 students this past summer, and they did quite an array of different projects. And can you tell us about, you know, what did that program involve, specifically their day-to-day experience?
The students came from all over the state, and they were housed here on campus in one of the dormitories, and their day-to-day experience varied depending on which instructor or which faculty mentor they were assigned to. And so some of them might have spent their daily activities in a more of a laboratory setting. Some would be out more in a field setting, but basically they get to work hand in hand with one of our research professors.
So the research varies, is that?
That's right. So we had a wide range of students. Some had a fair amount of research coming in, and some had never really done any kind of research. And so the projects were chosen to match up with their skill set and their interests. And because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is help students recognize that they can do research if they want to, and that opportunity is out there. And not only that, they can do research that's very helpful to people directly and has huge impact on people locally here in Oklahoma, as well as across the world if they want to.
So what are some of the other perks of this internship program for somebody who might be applying?
The students that were here all received a weekly stipend. And so it can be treated like a summer job if you want to, but it's more than that. It's really truly meant to be kind of an internship. So some of the students also would use that for class credit if they needed it. Housing was provided for them free of charge on campus, as well as at least one meal a week, we would get together and have kind of a working lunch, a brown bag lunch, where we'd talk about what we'd done each week. And so some meals would be provided, and then we also had a lot of group activities where we'd go on field trips and take a look at horticulture in action. And those are always fun and kind of what sets this apart from some of the other research experiences that are out there.
All right, well, I know we had a chance to take a look at some of the research that these students were doing, so we're going to take a look at that now.
So, hi, I'm Alyssa Ely. I'm from North Texas on Coppell, and I'm a student here at OSU, so I'm going to be a senior. I'm doing a drought stress project comparing a standard putting green to 2 putting greens that were bred at OSU. I've talked to some of the mentors in the program too, and they said it was a good introduction on how, like grad school, and how to do research if you don't have experience with it. So.
Yeah, my name is Mason McLemore, and I am from the University of Oklahoma. I'm a senior majoring in plant biology with a concentration in biotechnology and a minor in chemistry. In this research, we're taking a look at compounds found within lettuce. My lab partner and I myself will be looking at bitter compounds called sequetropine lactones that are found within this lettuce. We're going to end up trying to see if there's a correlation between the taste of lettuce and the sugars and compounds that we're finding in them. I think what's most important for me is the ability to use the equipment needed to identify these compounds, and not only that, but this is my first time developing procedures in an actual research setting. The REEU program is really nice because it is a paid internship. Actually, with the financial situation I'm in, for example, I wouldn't be able to end up doing this kind of program without that.
My name is Darren Blanchard, and I'm originally from Mounds, Oklahoma, and attend Oklahoma State University studying horticulture, and I graduate this fall. We are looking at the nutrient content of lettuces, field grown versus hydroponic. When looking over the guidelines for the program, I felt like it was tailor-made for what I was wanting to do, because I do have aspirations to attend graduate school, and it allowed me to work with some of the graduate professors here at OSU, and able to work under them and kind of pick their brain for a 10-week period and see their expertise and their knowledge in action. One of the biggest incentives I felt like was the student farm, and because a lot of people nowadays have not grown their own vegetables, and that was a big learning environment that I wanted to participate in.
All right, I'm Lindsay Olson. I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm a junior here at OSU. My major is mathematics with the option for secondary education and a minor in Russian language and literature. Me and another intern are working under Dr. Shelley Mitchell. It's kind of the extension part of this urban horticulture internship. So while the other ones, like I said, are doing research, we are strictly working with the youth and some adults, but the internship altogether I think is for anybody. They took me, so I guess it is. You learn a lot. They're going to teach you everything you really need to know that they're trying to teach, so I mean, you don't have to have a background in it.
Because I'm an ag education major, so I really wanted some experience working with kids of all ages. I want to be able to teach children about agriculture in all areas of life. I've never really had a lot of hands-on application, so I've gained a lot of that working with kids from Plants and Bugs Camp, Camp Turf, Unidos, special needs kids, and so it's been a really great learning opportunity.
I'm Tori Lewis. I'm from North Little Rock, Arkansas. I go to Langston University, and I'll be a sophomore next fall. I'm doing nitrogen fertilizer analysis on Bermuda grass. Basically what we're doing, we're trying to figure out a fertility plan in the outcome of the project. But I'm going to be taking away a lot of research information and how to conduct all the research the correct way and how to set up research, everything that has to do with research basically. We've been on a lot of field trips. Basically we go to places that have to do with horticulture and they higher scale of what we're doing. We went to Noble Research Foundation. I thought that was really cool. A lot of people here have the same interests as me, so we all bond really well, hang out from time to time when we're not studying or doing research. So,
I'm Matt Beartrack. I'm an OSU horticultural science major, a junior, and I'm studying LED lighting effects on leafy greens, specifically lettuce, basil, and chard. And I have blue lights, a combination of red and blue lights, and then just sunlight. We're going to be testing a few things, but particularly nitrate values, overall health, how healthy these plants actually are for you to eat. I really wanted to learn more about greenhouse work and whether or not I want to go to grad school, and I think it's been a really good experience. The mentor relationship, it's good because you have them at your disposal. Any questions you have, Dr. Dunn can pretty much answer, and like I say, he's a wealth of knowledge as far as research goes.
Well, my name is Reba McCarty. I'm from Kellyville, Oklahoma, and I'm a senior at Oklahoma State University, and my major is agriculture education with an option in horticulture. My project is the effects of glow-in-the-dark paint on petite peace lilies and the effects and how that affects their growth rate and photosynthesis. With my classes, I just had a brief glimpse of some of horticulture practices, and here I get to really get some hands-on experience and really get to know more about the horticulture field as a whole. Also, every Monday we do a 3-minute thesis, which we get to go and explain to our fellow students what we did the previous week before and kind of where we're at. Because with those 3 MTs, I'm getting to see my fellow students and their experiences, and so they're transferring their mentors' knowledge to our knowledge, and so I'm getting to just see the overall aspect of horticulture.
Hi, my name is Elisa Sims, and I am from Kiefer, Oklahoma. I attend Langston University, and I'm pursuing a degree in agricultural business.
I'm Joel Cleaver, and I'm from Corn, Oklahoma, and I'm going to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, and I'll be a senior, majoring in biology. So we're comparing paper mulch, plastic mulch, and then bare soil, and we're mainly looking at how it affects the yield. I'm doing tomatoes.
And I'm doing okra.
I needed a summer job, and since I'm not really sure what I want to do in the future, this kind of gives me the experience and lets me see other aspects of like growing plants and stuff that I didn't know about. Since I'm away from home, having somewhere to live, yeah, it just all worked out.
Well, Dr. B and Linda, they're awesome, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to work with them this summer. I'd just rather be out here than be in a lab or be in the greenhouse. I'd rather be out here and actually experiencing Mother Nature and how she reacts to us and how we react to her.
So when we filled out the application, we ranked different things, like from 1 to 10, I think, on what we most were interested in. And this was my first choice because I enjoy the hands-on part and wanted to know how to grow things better.
Apply.
If you're at all interested in horticulture, I'd say go for it because it's not just one thing you're focused on. We've got to go see a whole bunch of different places, and you get a lot of experience.
You'll never know where you'll end up after this. So I met a lot of interesting people and all different sorts of areas across of Oklahoma, so it's been a pleasure.
So Charles, after they finished their 10 weeks, this was some fantastic research that they did. What happened with that research?
So at the end of our 10 weeks, we held a research symposium, and this was the 10 students all got to get up in front of their peers and a few of our faculty in our department and present their research. And from there, we selected the top students' presentations, and they were allowed to then go on and present their findings at a regional scientific meeting. And this year we're planning to send 5 of those students to those meetings.
Wow. That's a fantastic opportunity for these students. So what's the plan for this coming season? Are you going to be providing this program again, and how does somebody apply?
Right, so we're hoping to get this thing off and running mid-May again through July of 2019. Applications are open right now. And we're looking to have a deadline in mid-February for final applications.
All right, can anybody apply, or what are the requirements for those applicants?
So the only requirement is that you are 18 or older and enrolled in either a 2- or 4-year college,
Doesn't have to be in Oklahoma?
It doesn't have to be in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be a 4-year institution. It can be a 2-year, and it doesn't have to be in horticulture. It doesn't have to be in agriculture. We just want someone who is interested in the idea of research or horticulture or any kind of biological type of system. So there's more information on our department website, as well as there is a online application available for them as well.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Fontanier, for sharing this with us.
Thank you, Casey.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week, we have one more new show for you while you're resting up from feasting and shopping. We get our garden ready for a winter's nap. We check out some high-tech golf greens. Our favorite forester, Mark Bays, shows us how the Oklahoma City Parks Department is looking to save money, reduce waste, and provide a valuable resource from damaged or unwanted trees. And Barbara Brown cooks a frittata for your savory holiday treat. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society.